Hello, goblins and ghouls. Are you ready to talk about a movie that dares pose the question, what if Blair Waldorf was gay and insane? I really hate to just boil this movie down to that, but that's basically what it is. This movie is off the walls, it's unhinged, it is absurd, it is a piece of lost pop cultural history. Nobody talks about this movie anymore. Have you even heard of it? Were you there in 2011 when it came out in theaters? Or when it was then released to Netflix? Probably back in like 2016 or something. I feel like the world is Mandela affecting me because I was there. I remember. I have such an unhinged recap of this movie to give to you because I watched it so you don't have to, don't worry. But first, I'm so sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm the daughter of Satan. My birth basically signaled the apocalypse. We're not there yet. In the meantime though, I do want to talk about horror movies with the fine people of Earth. I realize that's a lot to take in. You're just gonna have to roll with it because we move things along very quickly here. Oh, but before I do, right, if you want to join our cult, all you have to do is click subscribe. Also click the like button and the notification bell. That way you never miss our next cult meeting. In today's meeting, the only order of business is just gushing over how bad this movie is. I love a good bad movie, okay? And when I found this movie on Blu-ray at Goodwill for I think like $4, I was like, stop. No, seriously, the hands of time, they stopped and I just locked eyes with this movie. And a memory from the deep recesses of my mind, it crawled forth. And I went, oh yeah, I lied. I paid $6 for this Blu-ray. Now that's delusional. I can't believe that I paid $6 for this, but I will probably never part with it. So honestly, it was a good purchase. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie for the first time when it was released to Netflix. I don't think there's any way that I would have seen this movie in theaters because I would have been like 12 at the time, and it's PG-13, so I was a little bit too much of a youngin' for it. But I watched it as a teenager, and as far as PG-13 horror goes, it was great gateway horror for me at the time. I really enjoyed it back then. And did I enjoy it this time around? That remains to be seen. You'll have to sit your butt right there and just listen to me yak. So, right, I was setting the stage, so I'm locking eyes with it. This memory has burst forth, and I'm like, I have to buy it. So I spent $6 on it, and then I watched it like pretty immediately afterwards. This was an exciting find for me. What can I say? I think that it's also worth mentioning that if you look this movie up, it has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes, something I was blissfully unaware of until right now. It also was produced by Roy Lee. He's a big time producer. He also was a producer on It from 2017. He produced Barbarian. If you look up a list of his produced credits, like, it's insane. So many hits and so many misses. And unfortunately, this is one that I feel like just got swept under the rug. This follows a girl named Sarah who goes off to college and she moves into the dorms where she meets her new roommate. Given that it is a horror film called The Roommate, you could probably imagine that things are not all as they seem. And I don't know how intensive of a plot breakdown this will be. I literally just want to go over the most unhinged moments of the movie. Before I get into spoilers, if you want to dip out and you want to try this movie for yourself, I will be waiting right here for you when you get back. I have decided to coin this the Bye Bye Man of 2011. It is similarly just as terrible, but somehow just as enjoyable. The Bye Bye Man is in its own special little class of movies that are so bad that they're good, and this is exactly my cup of tea in that realm. So if you're the same way, all you need to know is that it has really offensive depictions of gay mentally ill people, but that's about it. Everything else, great. First things first, before we even touch on the plot, our main character named Sarah is played by Minka Kelly. Minka Kelly is playing a freshman in college when at the time she was 30 years old. I can't even get through that sentence without laughing about it because what? I know that they've done that for a really long time because the entertainment industry really enjoys sexualizing children, but they don't like casting actual children. They like to make them look older because it makes them feel better, and also because of those nasty child labor laws, and that is literally the only interesting thing about the character of Sarah. She's the most soft-spoken, soft girl, final girl, moral compass that you will ever see. She's so boring. So like I said, she goes off to college and she moves in with her roommate Blair Waldorf. Literally, because Leighton Meester's character in this is also from a very wealthy family. But then Sarah has a problem because she's just a freshman, but she's trying to get into this upper division fashion class or something, and she really wants it with this specific professor. And so she goes She goes to his class and is observing him. And afterwards she talks to him and somehow convinces him to let her join the class, even though it's full and he's already turned away other people. And it's really easy to tell right off the bat that he's a creep, but for now, they don't want you to know that. But I think they kind of give it away because of his line of dialogue right here. He says something like, I'm gonna accept you because you have two things that I can't teach. Number one, you have a sense of fashion. And I did not even hear the second thing that he said because I started bursting out laughing.
You have two things I can't teach, and that is style and desire.
You can't teach this level of fashion, folks. That ass fedora, are you kidding me? I lost it. That happened 12 minutes into the movie and I knew that I was just gonna be in for such a treat. I wish that I had a fedora so that I could do some kind of bit with it, but unfortunately those were very short-lived. I do feel like there was a period of time when Hot Topic was kind of poppin' when I was maybe like 13 or 14, so like a decade ago, when fedoras sort of had a moment. It also was obviously around the time when these types of scarves were fashionable. I had a scarf exactly like that when I was in middle school, but it was covered in like light blue peace signs. I'm pretty sure that I stole it from my sister. I just love when a movie is a time capsule of the worst fashion trends of any given moment. That is what The Roommate is. And she's supposed to be a fashion student. Like that is what that's what kills me. You can't teach style. Most people simply would not wake up and choose to put on that ass fedora in the morning. Good for you. You're accepted. I'm having a blast talking about this movie and we're only 12 minutes in. So she becomes really fast friends with her roommate. What's her name? Rebecca, right. Her roommate's name is Rebecca. And right off the bat, you know, we start to see the dark side of Rebecca. It's dramatic irony because Sarah doesn't know, but we see all the weird stuff that Rebecca's doing. So at about 24 minutes in, Sarah has offered Rebecca these earrings for her to borrow. But Rebecca does not have pierced ears. So rather than telling her that, and I guess risk disappointing her, she pierces her own ears with the earrings. I remember, to me, that was the peak of horror at the time that I watched this movie. It still kind of makes me squeam a little bit. I don't like puncture stuff. She also did all that for some of the ugliest earrings I've ever seen. Throughout the movie, though, it's very clear that Rebecca does not like Sarah's other friends that are at this school. One of them being played by Ali Machaka, our Disney icon. But at this time, it's very clear that she was in sort of like her Miley Cyrus bangers era, where she was trying to branch away from her Disney childhood acting persona. And so she's the crazy party girl in this movie and she takes off her top at a frat party and whatever. But at one point she is also wearing a ass fedora. What was going on with the wardrobe department in this movie? Sorry, I have to make a correction here. It's not a fedora. I don't know what the hell you call this. All I know is it's got a little bit of an appropriation vibe to it, but you'd probably see like artsy student hippies wearing them. Not much better than the fedora, I gotta be honest. They were like, whoa, we have 30-year-olds playing 18-year-olds. What do kids these days wear? Fedoras. With the Sarah character, it makes sense because at another point, Rebecca like is cosplaying as her, and so she puts the fedora on. And I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense because when you cover their eyes, they're very similar looking, which is a complaint that a lot of people have on Letterboxd, and I'm like, it's part of the plot. But anyways, yes, so they also stuck poor Allie in one of those fedoras, and I was laughing so much when I was watching this movie, you guys. I also want to point out that even though this came out in 2011, it is one of the most early 2000s movies I've ever seen, especially this fashion show moment. All I was thinking about during this was America's Next Top Model, because that show was still very popular by 2011. I don't think that it was in its prime, but it was still very much around. Then once we hit the 30-minute mark, that's when things really ramp up with Rebecca. This was truly, it's unhinged. Not in the grander context of horror, but in this movie specifically, and with PG-13 horror. PG-13 horror is absolutely not doing it like this anymore. Also, just the logic of it all, the amount you have to suspend your disbelief, it's crazy. So, Rebecca, she does not like Sarah's other friend, what's her face? Tracy. That's such a good slut name, Tracy. So at one point, she stalks her in the shower, she's got her pinned down, and she rips out her belly button ring. After that, she's like, if you tell anybody about this, I'll kill you. And she believes her. She's stays away from Sarah, starts distancing herself. She doesn't tell anybody about it. And I just, at that point, even if somebody says they're gonna kill you, I think you can go to the police, or at the very minimum campus security, because the actual police, they're not good for shit. But maybe campus security, right? And it's not like it's unfounded. It's not like you say this and they can't do anything because there's no proof or whatever. You can show them the skin that is ripped open in your belly button. Granted, she still doesn't have proof that it was Rebecca, but like that, I mean, that's not nothing. Anyways, not 7 minutes later, Rebecca is on the phone with Sarah's ex-boyfriend. He's not important at all, but he does pop up every now and then. Basically, Sarah had this ex-boyfriend who kind of burned her. He's just a terrible guy. She got into Brown, but he didn't, and so she kept true to their deal and she went somewhere else. But then there was an opening and he was on the wait list, and so he took it and he went to Brown. Ooh, boo, boo, tomato. So around the 40-minute mark, Rebecca's on the phone with Sarah's ex-boyfriend because Sarah left her phone in their room and he is calling her incessantly. So then, for some reason, Rebecca, while impersonating Sarah, has phone sex with her ex. The motives are very unclear. But then after it, she's like, never call me again. So I guess that was the motive, but she had a little fun in the meantime. Then this next part, like for a PG-13 movie, for any movie, this was not right. Basically, Sarah had found this kitten in their dorm and they're not allowed to have it, but she decided to keep it. And Rebecca, around 45 minutes in the movie, she can feel that Sarah is maybe starting to pull away. You know, Sarah's got other things going on. She's got this boyfriend who looks about 40 years old, by the way. Like, this is not the forehead of a youth. I'm sorry. So, what does she decide to do but to create a tragedy in order to garner some attention from Sarah? She puts the kitten in the dryer. It is one thing to be like, she ran away and I can't find her. And to just have, like, I don't know, let the kitten outside. She baked it alive in a dryer. You guys, Unhinged. What did I tell you? Unhinged. This next plot point, God. The creepy professor, he did what I expected, and basically he tries to seduce Sarah. And in retaliation, Rebecca simulates an assault. She goes to seduce the professor, and then after she's gotten him to kiss her a few times, she starts to pretend, and she's like, stop, you're hurting me, whatever. And then she's like, blammo, and she pulls out this recording device. So she blackmails him and gets him fired. It's just so bad. It's just, the optics of that are just so terrible. It's literally the embodiment of the fake scenario of like victims lying. Yes, a man did write this script. Are you surprised? Then at this point, Rebecca's really weird. Sarah's feeling it, and Sarah wants to move out with another friend that she has off campus. But Rebecca can't have this. She must manufacture another tragedy. So what does she do but pretend to beat herself up? Well, it's not pretend. She beats herself up. It's very Scream 4 coded. And those movies came out in the same year. Wow. So then after that, Sarah's like, oh man, bad timing to move out. I gotta, take care of Rebecca. But it's so weird because when Rebecca is crying and Sarah's comforting her and stuff, Rebecca's like, no, don't tell anyone.
Sarah, please, I only want you to know.
Leighton Meester, honestly, I liked her performance. I thought this was a serve for her. But then at this point, Sarah, she's suspicious, but she's dumb, right? So she hasn't really done much about this. Anyway, after that, Rebecca takes Sarah to her family's mansion for Thanksgiving, and it's very weird because her parents don't seem to like her at all. And we get a little insight because Rebecca's mom is like,
Rebecca's doing really well.
She's doing good.
She's taking her medication.
Medication?
and we're like, oh, Rebecca's off her meds? Because back then, in the early 2000s, being mentally ill was about the most frightening thing that a person could be. And about a minute after that, we get a little cameo from Nina Dobrev. She is the girl that Rebecca was obsessed with before Sarah. And at one point, she gets up and she says,
We were never friends.
we were never friends. I don't know. This movie's got a real Twilight vibe to it. The next few scenes are intercut with one another. So Rebecca is at the gas station and she covers the attendant in gasoline. I guess because he did something to annoy her. I can't even remember.
Pussy.
It was something deeply unserious, and she threatens to light him on fire covered in gas. So anyway, while that's going on, Sarah and her boyfriend are rifling through her things, and they find this, they find the medication. And when they look up what it's for, it's used to treat bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. And it's supposed to be this huge, like a mic drop type twist, right? Like, what? Bipolar and schizophrenia? People with those diagnoses can be very normal. Like, you would never know. If they're well medicated, if they've got therapy, whatever, like if they're in their routine, their groove, you would never know. So it's not funny. It's not funny. This movie, what it's perpetuating about mental illness is very bad, but it's so ridiculous. You just kind of have to laugh. Oh, and also mental illness makes you gay. So Rebecca decides to get rid of the friend that Sarah wanted to move out with, and so she finds her at this club and she seduces her in the bathroom. That's how she gets her home to kill her. And I've made a lot of jokes about how she's like the gay insane Blair Waldorf. Blair Waldorf was already insane. I am just making fun of this movie. I'm not trying to suggest that her character was actually gay. I think she just was really manipulative. Who she's attracted to literally does not matter, because the things that she does, it's not for any type of like sexual or romantic reasons. Maybe besides the phone sex with Sarah's ex-boyfriend. I still can't figure that out. There's actually so much that happens in this movie, and I'm pretty sure that it's like a clean hour and 30 minutes long. Even the best writer-directors of our time could never be so well contained. This next part... Because Irene is gone, obviously Sarah isn't moving in with her, so she stays with Rebecca. They go out to get tattoos because Rebecca is like, I want you to come with me. She doesn't tell Sarah what she's getting, and when she comes out, surprise, surprise, she's gotten the identical tattoo that Sarah has. And what is this tattoo, you might be asking? Well, it's a little bit of lore that I forgot to tell you. Sarah had a sister that died, so she got her name tattooed to keep her in her heart. So, yeah.
You can think of me as your sister. Call me Emily if you want.
Leighton Meester kind of giving Jack Nicholson a run for his money here. I don't know how Sarah wasn't running for the hills before this incident, but this solidified it, right? Oh wait, I said that Irene died. That's not true. Then Sarah moves out and she's staying with her boyfriend, but she's left some stuff, I think, in her old room. It doesn't really matter. Somehow Rebecca catches wind that her ex-boyfriend is coming into town and really wants to see Sarah. So what does Rebecca do but steal some of her clothing? And look how she steps out. She's got the fedora on, you guys. I told you, the fedora, crucial to the plot. But she goes into her ex's hotel room and wakes him up. And I guess he just doesn't bother to look at her face, even though he's missed her, and then here she is. He just sort of blurrily, sleepily sees that she has the same tattoo and the same necklace as Sarah, and he's like, all right. So then she kills him. The poor guy. This is the first bloodshed we've seen on screen, unless you count belly button violence. This is when things start to become a lot more conventional. We've kind of been over the most fun and deranged moments already. This is where we get to the climax, and, you know, it's pretty par for the course. So Rebecca has tied up Irene. That's where Irene has disappeared to. I might have misspoke earlier and said that she died, but she had just disappeared. I remember, I think at the time, I had assumed that she'd been killed because Rebecca's, you know, woo. I did really like the part where Sarah was dangling out the window and her boyfriend was punching Rebecca in the face. Then she also tries to shoot her, but oop, no bullet. It's one of those fun little tales of like, I love you so much, and if I can't have you, no one can. Leighton Meester really pulled that off, I think. But in the end, she's stabbed and she dies, and Sarah is able to move on with her new boyfriend. And they all lived happily ever after. Although I don't think that anything was ever resolved with her friend Tracy. Like, I don't know if she ever shows up again. Oh my god, you guys, hold on a second. There's a featurette on here that's called Dressing Dangerously. Oh, you guys, if that has anything to do with the fedora, I might need to watch this right now and get back to you. I'm sorry, I gotta go. 1 second. Okay, you guys, it's like a 4-minute long featurette, and I'm listening to this costume woman describing her outfits, and bless her, I'm sorry to this woman. She was saying that Sarah's looks are very aspirational, that she doesn't come from money, but she knows fashion. And so they gave her some vintage looks that looked like maybe she could have found them at a thrift store, but paired like, you know, a blazer with ripped jeans to give it more of a college look. And that also accessories were a really big deal to Sarah, hence these cute little hats. There's no self-awareness. There's no, yeah, we know that these hats are a little ridiculous, but it was kind of important for the plot later on. No, shh. she likes the hats. And more power to ya, but, woof. I think that was literally all I needed to know. Back to Hellfire. I just really don't think that it's ever gonna work out if a 50-year-old is dressing a 30-year-old that is playing an 18-year-old. There's just a lot that's gonna get lost there. I genuinely might have to ask my sister, who, she was a senior in high school in I think 2008. So she would have been right around the same age as the character in this movie. I don't personally recall her ever wearing fedoras. I think I'm just getting a little bit too stuck on this fedora thing. I should probably sign off. But that will do it for my, I think, appropriately unhinged recap of the events of The Roommate from 2011. Let me know if you've seen this movie. Did I pull it out of a recess in your mind? Had you never heard of it? Can you believe that you've never heard of it? Or can you believe it? Because, wow, that was hot garbage. I want to know all of your thoughts down below. This was fun for me. It's not often that this happens, so hopefully I will find another little hidden bad gem soon. I feel like we're almost far enough removed from the Bye Bye Man that I could make a little retrospective on it. Let me know if that's something that interests you. And if not, I have lots and lots of other types of content on this channel. I have lots of different types of series. I have more unscripted stuff like this, or I have very intensive scripted deep dives. I have probably anything that'll suit your fancy, and if not on this channel, then on one of my other ones. On the Patreon, I talk a lot about the behind the scenes of my own personal short horror films. I also do bonus reviews over there, and then I have my second channel where I talk about physical media, and I also take you guys on spooky outings. There is truly something fun and fresh for the whole family. You can also find me on social media. Everything you need is linked down below, but more than anything, I just hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!